Alright, y'all, this is Kandi's wedding episode 2. The link to the full episode will be down below in the description box. So let's get into it. So Kandi, Todd, Downwine, and Johnny are all meeting in the office at the candy factory, and they're talking about, what they have on schedule for the wedding. And Johnny has really stepped his game up. I guess Todd really motivated him. That's the real boss. They're supposed to motivate their employees. Even though Johnny's not Todd's employee, but he still motivated Johnny. And Johnny stepped up. He stayed overnight getting all the paperwork together. Kandi lets them know that there will be no more Carmen as a wedding planner. She's still a friend. She'll be in the wedding. And they're like, oh, she'll come back tomorrow. She's like, no, I don't need her to be my assistant. I just need her to be my friend. And, Johnny started talking about how he's going to send out the date. They're going to send the dates out. And Todd's like, I need you to get on that ASAP. And then Kandi's like, you're going to send, because Johnny said he was going to send it out by midnight. Kandi's like, well, wait a minute, you can't send a date out because we ain't got a venue. We fucked up. We set all this shit up, but we still ain't picked out a venue. So then she comes up with the idea of picking up this spot that they use for a ladies' night out or whatever with her bedroom Kandi. And so they go there. And they tell the lady that she wants lions, and, she wants this big space, and it needs to look really nice. And the lady tells her, well, we had a 3-day bride before. And then they asked, so Downwine asked, okay, well, did she get all of the 400 people and all the big stuff? And she's like, well, no, she didn't. So they go in there, and basically it's almost like a warehouse, and it's not done at all. They're going to have to do a lot of work, a lot of draping, and then Kandi, after the wedding is over, they're going to go to the cocktail room for an hour, and then come back, and it's going to be changed. Over an hour, they're going to come back to that same room, and it's going to be the reception area. So that's a lot of work to do. I guess they can pull it off, but that is a lot of work to do. It's actually creative, but you gotta have a lot of workers to pull all this shit off in 1 hour. So they go on, and Mama Joyce is shopping with Tan. And she said, I always thought of Kandi having 2 best friends, which was Tan and what's that girl? Carmen. But, Tan has always been like a daughter to me, and she's so sweet. But Carmen was always that sneaky one. It's like, come on now. You treated Carmen like a daughter too. And from what I know, those ain't her only 2 best friends that she done had since she was teenagers. Rashida was her best friend since she was a teenager. And so was Tiny. So I guess she just wanted to compare the 2. To just make it look like Carmen just a bad friend. And so, Kandi comes in, and she tells, that's what I forgot to mention, Kandi met up with her dad at lunch, and her dad told Kandi that, all these things that happened between me and your mama, I never really got to spend that much time with you because your mother and her sisters was interfering. They put a restraining order out on me. They locked me out my house. Her sisters or whatever told your mama I was cheating. They was lying. And Kandi's like, okay. And she's crying, and she's like, well, I don't believe that they would, you know, I don't believe my mother would have stopped him from coming around. Now, with this, I believe it's some truth to it. And what Mama Joyce says later on, I believe it's some truth to that. But, you know, there's 3 sides to every story, so I guess we're not going to know the full story right now. Because everybody got their opinions, and everything may not be, you know, correct. So, sorry for jumping all over the place, y'all. So, when Kandi meets up with Mama Joyce and she's trying on a dress or whatever, because Mama Joyce feeling herself, she looking right, she definitely did get her body together. I guess that's why she picking on Kandi now about her weight. But, you know, she goes in the back and she tells her, you know, Mama, I met up with Daddy, and he's going to, you know, basically marry me and Todd. And she was like, what? Is he serious? And Kandi's like, yeah, Mama, I'm serious. Like, it's like, come on now, that's her daddy. Let's not go there. And so, Kandi tells Mama Joyce that they end up having a serious conversation. He said that, you know, that Mama Joyce put a restraining order on him, so he could not get to see Kandi as much, and that, you know, he never cheated, and they you know, locked him out the house and all that. And she's like, what? He lying. He lying. And, you know, I would never put a restraining order on him because, you know, I wanted him to be in Kandi's life. And she was like, oh, I can't wait to tell. Oh, if I tell Bertha and them that what he said about the restraining order, they gonna jump down his throat and come out his ass. And Kandi's like, well, I'm gonna need you not to tell them. So, you know, Kandi doesn't even ask her mother then to walk her down the aisle, but she wants her mother to walk her down the aisle. And it's like, she says she wants her mother to give her away because she's the one that needs to let go the most. But I do know Kandi even wrote a song about him. She has a stepfather that she's really close to, even though him and Mama Joyce have been divorced or whatever. It's like, why don't you ask him, Mr. Leroy Jones, to walk you down the aisle? Because, you know, that's one of your fathers. Your father can't walk you down the aisle because he's going to be the one, you know, marrying you. But why don't you just have your stepfather walk you down the aisle? Or both, Mama Joyce and your stepfather walk you down the aisle. And, you know, Mama Joyce is just a mess. She really is. All the stuff with her and Todd, and she's starting to say stuff about his parents. This is getting ridiculous. So, Kandi, you know, she's at the candy factory or whatever with Johnny. Todd walks in, and, you know, Kandi says, well, Johnny, let me talk to Todd for a minute. So Todd, you know, sits down, they have a talk, and she says, well, I went to go see my mama the other day, and, you know, I don't even know if I should tell you this. You gonna get mad. He's like, no, I'm not gonna get mad. She's like, yeah, you gonna get mad. He was like, no, I'm not gonna get mad. And she was like, well, she said Daddy was a pimp. And instantly he got mad. Like, he's like, what? Come on, my dad died when I was 3. I didn't even know my daddy, you know. And then she's like, well, she said, you learned the game. You and your mama trying to run a game on me, basically, so y'all can get my money. And it's all because your daddy was a pimp. And he's like, well, that's crazy, that's stupid, because, you know, I didn't even know my dad. And if my daddy was a pimp, what does that make my mama? A hoe? And Kandi gonna sit there and lie and gonna say something. No, she didn't say nothing like that. I was like, why she gotta lie? He gonna find out. He gonna find out. It was recorded. Come on now. You know Bravo gonna keep that because that's a good part. When she said that. Drama, 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 right? He gonna find out. You should have just been honest with him. Said, yeah. She said, I would have been trying to make it back. Oh, no. She didn't say. She said she was a hard worker. Okay? She working them streets. But, nah, he was pissed off. So she didn't want to tell him that, yeah, she said she was a prostitute too. So, he was like, that's crazy. You know, I've been respectful and all, but your mother is getting out of hand. I just, you know, I bit my tongue for so long. I can't keep doing this. So, you know, later on, Ty goes and, he meets up with, Kandi's father. Ty meets up with Kandi's father and they're talking. And he said, you know, it's a hard time with dealing with Mama Joyce. And then he tells him about all the stuff she been saying about the mother, the father, or whatever, and that she just be coming up with shit out of nowhere. Just people on the streets, you know, people running telling, trying to mess up the relationship. And the father tells Todd, well, that sounds like me, you know, 30-some years ago, basically. When we first got married, we had a great relationship. And then, you know, people started to interfere. And that's what messed us up. You know, she was such a sweet person, a sweet and loving person, and then she just basically said she turned into a monster, and she don't even realize that she destroying herself. She's only hurting herself. And, you know, things ain't gonna get better till she learns to deal with it in a different way. And so, you know, Ty asked for her father's blessing. And he's like, yeah, you definitely have my blessing. And I'm happy to gain a son. You know, I'm happy to have another son. And I'm so glad that at least Ty can bond with Kandi's father. He needs somebody on his side right now, because he definitely ain't Mama Joyce. And so, let's see what else happened, y'all, because I ain't write this shit down. So they go and, they meet up again at the candy factory. And Kandi tells Ty that, you know, Mama Joyce is coming. And, we need to talk to her or whatever. And he says, well, can I bring up the whole situation, the pimp situation? And Kandi's like, no, not today. I don't feel like it today. And he's like, okay, well, today's a good time for you to ask her to walk you down the aisle. And so, she's like, okay, well, that's fine. So, Mama Joyce comes in, and they joking or whatever, and they talking about the wedding. And she's like, well, who's gonna pay for it? So Kandi was laughing. She was like, you gonna pay for it. And she was like, well, you know, it's the bride's family that's supposed to pay for it. And so Ty's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He clapping and laughing or whatever. And Mom just laughing. That's only when the mama gets to pick the groom, you know. I pick the groom, and then Ty like, well, you gonna have to find somebody else then. And then she was like, no, you just gonna have to, I ain't gonna take my checkbook out, so you gonna have to take your checkbook out. And so they stopped laughing then. And so, Kandi goes to tell Mama Joyce, well, I want you to, walk me down the aisle. Since my daddy is doing the sermon, I mean, not the sermon, since he's doing the ceremony, I want you to walk us down the aisle. And she stops. And she was like, why I gotta walk you down the aisle? And Kandi'S like, because I just asked you. And then she was like, well, I don't want to do it. To tell you that's a lot to ask. Okay, why don't you ask your daddy to do it? He ain't did nothing your whole life but send it some $300 here and there. Okay, ask your daddy. Okay, because he ain't did nothing. And then Ty's in the background like, wow. Like, he can't believe that, she just said that to him. And then they go in and Ty asks her, why don't you like me or whatever, and she's like, Todd, I always, I didn't say I didn't like you, 'cause I like you, Todd. I do. And, I just don't like the game. And he's like, what game? And then speaking of the game, Kandi told me that you basically said my father was a pimp. And I just think that's crazy because my father died 37 years ago. I was 3. I never got to meet my father. And she's like, oh, well, that's so sad. That's sad. But, sometimes the legacy can be brought down. It's like, damn, I'm just with you, chill out. And so, Ty's like, the legacy. So, you saying my father is a pimp? You still saying my father's a pimp? She said, yes, that's what I'm saying. Your dad is a pimp. Okay? And he's starting to get really irritated with her. He's like, I take your disrespect all the time. I bite my tongue, and I do nothing to you. You try to set me up, and it was just crazy. Let me just say that. It's crazy. She going too far. Mama Joyce is going too far and extremely hurtful. And Kandi sitting in this confessional talking about, I wish, he would just let it go because some people just not gonna do right or whatever. And it's like, no, Kandi, you can say that because that's not you. That's not right for her to say that. It really is not. And she's really trying to push him away, and you got to respect him for being a strong man for standing, because this is a lot to take in. It's not cool at all, and especially for her to disrespect his deceased father. She talking about the people on the street told her, who the fuck, just like Ty said, who are these people on the street? Call them up. And she's like, well, why don't you call up the guy that said I was trying to set you up? And then she gonna say something, taking pictures of something that you doing ain't setting you up. And he's like, yes, it is. And they arguing and yelling. Kandi's like, can y'all stop yelling? And it's crazy. I don't know what's gonna take. What is it going to take for Mama Joyce to just get her head right and accept him? This is crazy. And if he does, she starts accepting him because he does start rolling millions in his bank account. It's fake. It's not real. It's not cool. I hope that she one day sincerely realize what she did and apologize for it. 'Cause this shit ain't cool. It really ain't. So then, Todd, he went to go work out with Apollo so he can look right in his tux. 'Cause Apollo works out all the time. And, he thanks Apollo because when he first moved down here to Atlanta, which he moved down here to be with Kandi, he didn't know anybody, so Apollo was one of his close friends because, of course, Phaedra set Todd and Kandi up, so, they both were welcoming of, Todd's and Kandi relationship. So they working out, and Todd is asking Apollo, did you sign a prenup? And Apollo's like, yeah, I just signed it. You know, I trust my wife, because I don't want anything from her. And he's like, well, yeah, that's fine and all. But, you know, she wants me to sign this prenup, and it's fine, but I'm not just going to go ahead and sign it. You know, you're not just going to hand me no paper and be like, sign this, I'm going to just sign it. No, I need to see what's in it, and I need to make sure that it's fair, and that it protects both of us. And, you know, he's complaining about how she still hasn't come up with the prenup yet. But, you know, this is next episode gonna be interesting, cause Ty's mama is coming to town, and she gonna take up for her baby. Okay, and not only that for herself, because let's not forget, Mom Jess is disrespecting her too, not just her son. So, you know, next review come next week. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I got a video I did last week, 11 Hip Hop, Atlanta. It was a review, and then I got freaked out by a bug. So if y'all want to see that, you know, just like this video and comment below saying that you want to see the video, and I'll post it. But yeah, that's it. We'll be back for another review tomorrow. Peace.